me. When I'm weak, you are strong. You can't fall on me. Here we are, waiting for your return. Yes, here we are, waiting for your return. You can fall on me. Hear the wind in the storm. You can fall on me. Okay, today we are out in front of the Jehovah's Witness Convention here in the Tri-Cities at the Toyota Center. And there'll be several thousand Jehovah's Witnesses show up here today. Now this is going to be about a 3-weekend event. This weekend we'll probably have people from Oregon, Washington, and Idaho. And next weekend, I believe, is going to be all Hispanics. So then the following weekend, back to Anglos again. So yeah, this reaches out to all the Jehovah's Witnesses in Eastern Washington, Eastern Oregon, and Idaho. So this is a big deal. They do it once a year. And so we're here to just try to point out the fact that it's a cult and give them some seeds for thought. And you never know what kind of seeds you're planting, especially with young people. Young people normally have questions their parents don't have good answers for. So we're pointing out that they have a bogus Bible translation. It's translated a lot of the verses incorrectly. They don't like to talk about eternal judgment, a conscious existence in hell. They don't like to talk about that because they believe that you just cease to exist when you die. And then, so we like to talk about that. That's always a hot topic. And then you must be born again. Normally when you ask the witnesses if they've been born again, they just give you a puzzled look. They don't have any idea. And some of the other issues are found on some of the signs that we have here. Peggy has a sign addressing some of the dates in which they have forecast the coming of Christ, which have all failed. They've made that forecast a number of times over the past century. So they've kind of quit doing that. So that's an embarrassing bit of history. Let's see, what else can we talk about? Oh yeah, they believe that Jesus is Michael the Archangel. That's the problem, because we're not supposed to worship angels. However, in the book of Revelation it says the 24 elders fell down and they worshiped the Lamb. Well, the Lamb, of course, is Jesus. So what are we doing worshiping Jesus if he was an angel? That's a problem. Okay, so, and then the last chapter of Matthew, you'll find after the resurrection, Jesus' disciples worshipped him. And then early on in the Gospel of Matthew, I think it's chapter 14, when Jesus calmed the storm, when he'd been out walking on the water, when he got in the boat, it says the disciples worshipped him. Well, they've retranslated those verses. They get rid of the word worship. They don't like that at all, because in their idea, in their mind, you're only to worship Jehovah. And so they don't believe that Jesus is the great I am. Now, Jesus himself proclaimed to be God, and at one point the Pharisees picked up stones to stone him, and he says, for a good work, what are you stoning me for? And they said, well, we're not stoning you for a good work, but we're stoning you because you, being a man, make yourself out to be God. So obviously the Pharisees knew exactly what he was proclaiming. So that's the problem. You know, they don't like to have anything to do with the cross. The cross, of course, Paul wrote to the Corinthians, chapter 1, he says, the message of the cross is foolishness to those that are perishing, but it's the power of God for us who are being saved. Now, the message of the cross and the symbol of the cross dates back to the very beginning of Christianity. Now, they will argue that this is something that was dreamed up by Rome. However, if you go to Egypt and you go to a Coptic church, an Egyptian Christian church, they normally didn't, they weren't too closely tied with Rome, but they used the symbol of the cross as a message of Christianity as well. So, you know, they like to argue that, well, he wasn't crucified on a cross, he was impaled. That's what their version says. Well, there's a big difference between being impaled and being crucified. To be impaled is to take a big post, stick it in the ground, sharpen the top of it, and then pick somebody up and throw them up on top of it and let them hang there until they're dead. That's to be impaled. And the more you wiggle, the more you slide down that post because it goes right through you. So that's impaling. Crucifixion is they nailed him to the cross. So that's some of the problems that the Jehovah's Witnesses have, and we're here to point it out. Now, for the most part, the Tri-Cities likes it when the J-Dubs come to town for the convention because it brings a lot of money. You see, a lot of people come here and they spend a night in a motel, maybe a couple of nights in a motel, and they have to go out to eat. So the restaurants are all making money, so what's not to like? So a lot of the locals won't ruffle the feathers of the witnesses for the reason of financial gain. One interesting observation that people could make regarding the Jehovah's Witness Bible translation is, if it's such an accurate translation of the Bible, why is it that nobody else uses it? You won't find the Baptists or the Pentecostals or the Lutherans or the Episcopalians or the Methodists or any other denomination. You won't find them using the New World Translation because they know that it's not honest.
Here we are, waiting for your return. Mighty King, Lord of life, you can fall on me. When I'm weak, you are strong, you can fall on